If you tell me you own 1% of the apartment houses in the United States, and you offer me a 1% interest, so I'll have a 1% interest in all the apartment houses in the country, and you want whatever it may be for it, then call it another $25 billion or something. I'll write you a check. It's very simple. Now, if you told me you owned all of the Bitcoin in the world and you offered it to me for $25, I wouldn't take it, because what would I do with it? I have to sell it back to you one way or another. I mean, maybe I have the same people, but it isn't going to do anything. The apartments are going to produce rental, and the farms are going to produce food. And if I've got all the Bitcoin, I'm back where whatever his name was, who may or may not have existed, was 15 years ago. If I've got it all, he could create a mystery about it. But everybody knows what I'm like. I mean, so if I'm trying to get rid of it, people will say, well, why should I buy some Bitcoin from you? I mean, why don't you call it Buffett coin? Make your own or something. What? Do something. But I'm not going to give you anything for it. And you'd be right, incidentally. But that explains the difference between productive assets and something that depends on the next guy paying you more than the last guy got. Now,
it's stupid because it's very likely to go to zero. The same place is evil because it undermines the Federal Reserve System and the national currency system, which we desperately need to maintain its integrity and government control and so on. And third, it makes us look foolish compared to the communist leader in China. He was smart enough to ban Bitcoin in China. And with all of our presumed advantages of civilization, we are a lot dumber than the communist leader in China.
We haven't the faintest idea what the stock market is going to do when it opens on Monday. We never have had. We have never made, Charlie and I don't think, in all the time we've worked together, and I'll tell you something later on maybe about how learning takes place, but we have never, I don't think we've ever made a decision that where either one of us has either said or been thinking we should buy or sell based on what the market is going to do.
No.
Or for that matter, on what the economy is going to do. We don't know. 2008, and when everybody was down on stocks and all that sort of thing, we spent a big percentage of our net worth at a very dumb time. and I shouldn't say we, it's I. We spent about $15 or $16 billion, which was a lot bigger to us then than it is now. We spent it in the last few weeks. There was a period of 3 or 4 weeks between Wrigley and Goldman Sachs and General. At a terrible time, as it turned out. If I'd had any sense of timing and waited 6 months until, I think the low was in March, and in fact, I think I was on CNBC maybe that day or something, but I totally missed that opportunity. I totally missed, in March of 2020. We have not been good at timing. We have been reasonably good at figuring out when we were getting enough for our money, and we had no idea when we bought anything. Well, we always hoped it would go down for a while so we could buy more, and we hoped even after we were done buying and ran out of money that if it was cheap, the company would keep buying, and in effect taking our interest up. I mean, that's stuff you could learn it in 4th grade. It's been extraordinary. Sometimes it's quite investment oriented, kind of like it always you read about in the books and everything, what capital markets are supposed to do, and you study it in school and all that. And other times it's almost totally a casino. And it's a gambling parlor. And that existed to an extraordinary degree in the last couple of years, encouraged by Wall Street, because the money is in turning over stocks. I mean, people say how wonderful you've done if you bought Berkshire in 1965 or something and held it. But your broker would have starved to death.
We have computers with algorithms trading against other computers. We got people that know nothing about stocks being advised by stockbrokers who know even less.
I understand the commissions, though.
Yeah, it's just an incredible, crazy situation. And it's weird that we ever got a system where all this equivalent of casino activity is all mixed up with a lot of legitimate long-term investment. I don't think any wise country would have wanted this outcome. Why would you want your country's stocks to trade on a casino basis to people who are just like the people who play craps and roulette in the casino? So there's been some tension, and it's affected the prices of some of the Chinese stocks, particularly internet stocks. Just in the last day or two, the Chinese leader has sort of reversed course on that and said he went too far and he's going to pull way back and so on and so on. So we're having some hopeful signs. But yes, there are more difficulties of dealing with the regime in China than there are in the United States. And it's different. It's a long way away, and they've got their own culture and their own loyalties and so on and so on. And the reason that I invested in China is I could get so much better companies at so much lower prices, and I was willing to take a little political risk to get into the better companies at the lower prices. Other people might reach the opposite conclusion, and everybody is more worried about China now than they were 2 or 3 years ago. So that's just the way it is.
I have nothing to add. The best thing you can do is to be exceptionally good at something. If you're the best doctor in town, if you're the best lawyer in town, if you're the best whatever it may be, no matter whether people are paying you with $1 zillion or paying you, they're going to give you some of what they produce in exchange for what you deliver. And if you've got it, if you're the one they pick out to do any particular activity, sing or play baseball or be their lawyer, whatever it may be, whatever abilities you have can't be taken away from you. They can't actually be inflated away from you. Somebody else will give you some of the wheat they produce or the cotton or whatever it may be, and they will trade you for the skill you have. So the best investment by far is anything that develops yourself. And again, not taxed, so that's what I would do. Find out what you love doing it. You spend most of your life doing it, and why in the world would you want to be around for a lifetime working with people that you didn't like unless you had to, which sometimes happens, and just work for whomever you admire the most. And of course, it's what I did when I got out of school. I wanted to work for Ben Graham. I mean, I didn't care what I got paid. It didn't make any, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And then I pestered him for 3 years, and he finally hired me. And then I found somebody else that I'd even rather work for than Ben, who happened to be myself. So I've been working for myself ever since. But
I could give that young lady the advice: figure out what you're bad at and avoid all of it.
Yeah.
That's the way Warren and I found our profession.
Absolutely. We failed
at everything else.
We worked at everything till we found the ideal employers ourselves.
I'm just amazed. You'd think if you're smart, you could do things that don't interest you well, but you can't.